earlier today, somebody shared a video of at least previously notorious online martial arts personality. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't like throwing people under the bus unless they really, really, truly deserve it. And look, I'm not a fan of the guy. I think a lot of what he does is kind of hokey, and I think he falls into the same traps as a lot of other people, including people in my own background and my own styles. I mean, this is not a specific style thing. This is kind of a coach thing. But anyway, they showed a video of him on one side doing a demo where he looks all badass and everything, and then another one where he had actually taken an MMA fight and he was floundering pretty hard. And one of the things that we have to understand is that, one, you cannot judge a martial artist off of one bad performance. You just can't. Just about everybody, and honestly everybody, is, if they go long enough in a career, they are not going to retire undefeated. And the fact is that I guarantee you, even if they're not competing, just in sparring, in class and whatnot, they're going to be regularly going up against people who've got their number, whether they know it or not. And look, we know that, sparring and class time are not a competition, but the fact is, sometimes you can still set somebody up and go, man, this guy's got me 6 ways from Sunday, and that's just how it is. And yeah, sometimes maybe it's because you're in different weight classes. Sometimes maybe it's because you're at vastly different ranks. Sometimes people are just better. That's just how it is. And it brings to mind this idea, right? Because this is part of this larger kind of Bullshido thing. And I know Bullshido is actually like a copyrighted, thing now. They've done some okay stuff, and a lot of the stuff that they've done, I think, is not as quality as they think it is. Same thing with McDojo Life and all of these others that are, basically claiming that they are shedding light on fake martial arts. And what it really comes down to is that they don't have enough information. And this is a general problem with just like mathematics and logic in general. Math and logic, which really they're kind of part of the same field, they only work if you have the variables correct. You might have the right formula and you might have most of the variables, but most of the variables doesn't get you all the way there. And I mean, heck, this is one of the problems that we see in a lot of the scientific studies, a lot of the studies that I end up citing and whatnot. Now, look, I'm generally getting these studies from people who are much smarter than me, who have done the work, and I am reiterating what they have talked to the lifting community, and I'm bringing it to you guys. But that's not to say that they never get it wrong. And one of the things that we know is that a lot of these studies end up having statistical errors in them, and sometimes pretty significant statistical errors. And that's just a fault of the fact that there are so many things that we cannot appropriately test and observe. And so we end up having to run math to do it. And the problem with that is that anything that we're kind of guessing at and using logic at really only is going to yield an appropriate amount of truth if we have the right amount of variables accurately within whatever reasonable tolerance, to go along with it. And this goes with judging people's martial arts based off of a single fight or a demo or whatever. Now, would I like people to do their demos better and in a more realistic fashion? Absolutely, right? We should not be dealing with, 15 responses to one attack. We should not be dealing with the guy throws a long stance karate punch and then stands there frozen in time while the other guy goes to town. Demos need to have a better framework. And I understand, look, and I've made this video before, when you're in class and look, especially if you are the uke, if you are the guy that's receiving for the sake of instruction, Don't sit there and try to push back and resist against your teacher. That is neither the time nor the place. The entire point of the demonstration for the class is to get an idealized version with as little noise, with as few variables as possible, so the students have a starting point to start practice. So, thinking that you're going to show one up on your instructor while they're trying to teach the class is a really stupid idea. And I've seen guys get just stretched out or knocked out, for doing that very thing. So on that side, be respectful. On the other side, though, if you're talking about doing a demo for videos, which is the more common thing today, or back when I was a kid, when we'd go out to one of these festivals or whatever and put on a demonstration, like, demos have to be a certain way because demos are kind of actually a sales tactic more than anything else. So demos have to look a certain way. They really do. And yes, they should be framed better. They should be framed more realistically because, we have the whole caveat emptor thing. We want the buyer as informed as possible because we want to be delivering an honest product. Especially in commercial ventures, but as martial artists and as teachers, our entire reputation hinges on the fact that our students are learning something of value. It's not even hinging on the fact that we ourselves are badasses. It's not. It's more hinging on the fact that we can turn our students into badasses. Again, and I've mentioned these guys before, but you look at notable examples, Customato and Angelo Dundee. Angelo Dundee, to my knowledge, was not a fighter at all, but he was a good coach and strategist. And Customato ended up with an eye injury after one amateur fight and could never fight again, but he was a student of the sport, right? So it's not like they were just nobodies. Like, they were in it and they understood it, but the point is that, like, it's not about, is the coach a champion? Being a champion has nothing to do with being a good coach, but we do want to see that the students are capable of doing good things, and to create competent, capable students means that we need to be using competent and capable teaching mechanics, including our demonstrations. So on that side of it, yes, absolutely, I want to see more realistic, life-size demonstrations. However, on the other side of it, if you jump into an arena that your art wasn't designed for, you're probably not going to do that well unless you've specifically trained to adapt it to that. And that's probably going to take a long time. I mean, if you're particularly good, maybe it'll take 6 months. And if you're particularly normal, it'd probably take you a couple years to readapt everything to a combat sport format. And a lot of that is going to be changing, a lot of the non-consensual violence, a lot of the military violence, a lot of the street fighting, into stuff that is actually suitable for the fight. You're going to have to train out reflexes for things that would be considered dirty in a street fight and all of that, right? So a lot of these people, that are doing traditional martial arts or reality-based self-defense are going to have a little more trouble going into combat sports anyway, because they're not training specifically for that thing. And assuming that the two cross over it's not a good assumption, right? And again, this is where kind of the logic problem comes in. You have to have more variables than most people are dealing with. Does MMA do well in street fights? I mean, as far as the mechanical tactics, yeah, sure, right? But not everything goes that way. And does stuff that works in a street fight work in MMA? Yeah, it does. But not everything is allowed, and sometimes you have to play that game differently. So there are just different considerations and different training to apply to those considerations to go into it. So the overall point here is the fact that you have to have a lot more variables before you start weighing in and making a comment. Most of these people think they're being logical, but they are being reactionary. They just see something that looks wrong, and it might be wrong, but they probably are not able to articulate it very well, and they just go, see, this guy thinks he's a badass and he got smoked. Yeah, I get it. We all like a little schadenfreude, right? But that's really not the end goal of what we're doing here, right? And if you are purporting to actually shine a light on fake martial arts, it really isn't here's a guy using, street fighting tactics, whatever that means, and he gets his ass kicked in an MMA fight. There's so much more to that puzzle. So like, that's not a one-to-one comparison, and it's not fair. And like, you may dislike the person. They may actually be a snake oil salesman. They may actually be pretty bad at what they're doing. They may be peddling stuff that doesn't work. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably 9 times out of 10, if the person is legit within their realm, you probably just misunderstand what their art was designed for and what they're going after. So try to be a little more kind to people. Try to be a little bit more understanding. It really is not important to tear people down just because, like, anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Main point is try to be a little kinder. Even if you think the person is a scumbag, just try to be a little kinder, and I'll talk to you guys later. Good journey. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share. Check us out on our other socials, and please head over to blacksunboxing.com to get a little more info, including how to contact us. Furthermore, if you are in the Phoenix area, please feel free to stop in, say hi, join in for a class, whatever. Also, if you ever see us cite sources or just for additional content, please check out our Substack. That is where we put all of the sources we use in our videos and is a major part of this. Plus, it serves as a membership platform for long distance learning and for people who would like to support us but aren't local. We would greatly appreciate it if you signed up. Even just the free membership helps us out a lot. All right, I will see you guys in the next video. Good journey.